We are joined now by Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Good morning. Happy snow day / cold day for all the parents with kids that are staying home. I get really frustrated that, the kids get to stay home and we don't get days off of work because of the weather.
We got a regular Bill Belichick out here. No days off.
It's weird too. It's like, stores will close early. Everything's at a standstill, and work's like, yep, see you soon. It's like, wait,
especially
what?
Especially working in the news, like we can't put a closed sign in our window and just shut it down for the day. We got to go in.
I got to give you some credit because a couple weeks ago, definitively, when you said, you know what, I'm over it. Like Coach Hoiberg is I'm over it. Like one of the first to outwardly kind of throw the gauntlet down. And since then, he hasn't really let you down. But if you're like me, you had to be thinking to yourself, please win this game. Please win the next one. Because, I was like, yeah, Kevin, tell them. And they've handled business, and they've got another big one tonight.
They have handled business. They should handle business down the stretch. When I said that a few weeks ago, there was still plenty of room for them.
Oh, yeah.
so especially with the schedule, there was the makings of some bad losses in there, and that includes Sunday. And boys, I got to admit, I like many people, I turned it off on Sunday. I was actually at my son's youth wrestling tournament. They were behind schedule. Surprise, surprise. And so he was supposed to go at 2. I'm like, well, if I'm up here and he's not going, I'm watching. I was excited. And then I think it was maybe 17-4. I couldn't.
Oh, you turned it off early.
I was around in the presence of other people. And you know how that is, whether you're watching it, at somebody's house with a bunch of folks, or if you're at a bar or a restaurant, sometimes you just can't do it when there are others around you that can watch like your mannerisms. And I am not that kind of guy. I like to watch in my living room with my family only. And so 17 to whatever it was, I'm going to start to react, and I don't want anybody to see that. So I turned it off. I saw the score at halftime. It's like, not much progress. I pulled it up with 4 minutes left, and it was a 2-point game. So then it sucked me right back in. I watched the whole thing back later that night. But man, what a game.
It's crazy. And I don't know how many of our listeners know this, but I've told you this. Part of my allure for you on social media years ago was that you were such a family guy. Like that's a thing that I really like. And you're always tweeting out stuff with the kids and where you were. And I think you just took it to another level with the wrestling tournament, because it's kind of how I grew up. I hadn't done it for a while, for about 8 or 9 years, since Terry was small, like 4th, 5th, 6th grade. But I got a little buddy now that I like to go watch when I can on the weekend. So I'm getting back acclimated in like the wrestling parent, not 8 mats. You split 1 mat. It's super tight. You're yelling at officials. You're looking to see if stuff is on time. You saying surprise, surprise that the matches were off was quietly one of the funniest things ever, because those things are miserable if you're on a schedule. It's like you ask somebody what time somebody's wrestling, and you give them like a 45-minute window.
Well, here's the thing is my son's been in it for several years now, so you kind of learn the ins and outs. If you can weigh in early and come back when it's closer to time that they're going to wrestle, you have to, because if it says start at 2, you can assume they're starting at 3. And that's no like shame toward the folks running these tournaments. It's just naturally the way that they go. Sometimes those matches run late. You want to make sure there's proper warm-up time, because there's not always mat space. There's a lot that happens. So you got to not book your entire day around youth wrestling, but sometimes you got to give yourself a big chunk of time and devote it. And that's the thing for the basketball game for me, guys. I was thinking initially, my son's wrestling at 2. Let's lock in. I'm there for my boy. But he's just hanging out with his buddies off on the side, and they're not even close to starting. So I'm watching Nebraska basketball. But then I don't want to watch Nebraska basketball again because of the way that game started.
I thought DB was going to tell you that what he identified with was watching games by himself, because that dude does not watch games with a soul.
Well, and part of it, Kevin, and this is what I've convinced myself of to function in public, I act like if I'm not with you, you can't ask me about it. So if it doesn't go well, it's like, I don't know. Huh?
He pretends like cell phones
I pretend
don't exist.
I pretend like it didn't even happen. It's just it's a mental game that I play with myself.
So what about the mid-game text? Will you respond to it?
I do. I'm pretty good at that. As long as you I think the guys that will do it don't be over the top.
Yeah, you can't be out of pocket.
Yeah, no foolishness now, because
that's all I get.
That's gonna get you cut off.
Well, I get the memes. I even got one guy who will do impersonations of different media types, like the audio version mid-game. Now, sometimes they're really funny.
Wait, this guy sending you voice memos mid-game?
There's no way.
Yes. He does a terrific Pavelka impersonation. So he'll do a Pavelka. He'll do a Koteny for a women's game. He's got Raftery. But sometimes you don't want to hear it. But in general, it's really funny. So that's a different experience than you, DB, because my phone blows up during games.
Oh, bless your heart.
And it's not a lot of there's no substance there. You would hate it.
See, that's the difference between somebody actually being kind and that people like, and somebody that's like, yeah, that guy's kind of a jerk. Yeah, I'm closer to the latter.
Yeah, I'm going to forward you every one of
that
these
is
I get tonight
crazy.
During Nebraska versus Penn State.
You just have to be conditioned, because I'm telling you, if you could take that stuff in stride, I don't know, man. I pride myself on being able to channel my emotions, but I'm telling you, I would lose my mind. There's zero question. Zero.
Well, I have tolerance, I guess.
All right. So is this one of those games that you look at and you say should with confidence, or better be careful?
Should.
Okay.
No, should. Nebraska should win this game. It's on the road. However, I'll back up the should first. Should, because Nebraska's in a better space than Penn State is right now. Should, because Nebraska has been able to win on the road, including the one on Sunday, which was as wild as it was. That should be a nice confidence booster for the Huskers. And should, because Nebraska is one of the best players in the Big Ten, and Brice Williams. The caution in saying should is, if you look at these two teams on paper, they're pretty stinking similar. And you wouldn't ever think that Nebraska's right in the thick of the league and Penn State is at the bottom all by themselves. But points per game, about the same. Shooting-wise, about the same. In fact, Penn State shoots it a little bit better. Penn State shares it a little bit better. Penn State blocks a little bit better than Nebraska, and the Huskers won't have Berke in there. Nebraska does rebound the ball a little bit better. But right now, Nebraska is in a situation where they have 17 wins on the year. They have 5 games left. Everybody talks about magic number. I think the fact that there is an unknown magic number and the Huskers are trending in the right direction, it should be a freeing feeling for this team. I think you might see a psychological shift for this squad, knowing what happened on Sunday, the confidence that that should get them, and what they're staring at down the barrel here. The schedule is not the most challenging down the stretch for Nebraska, and they're in a really good spot. So you may see a team take the floor tonight in Happy Valley that just doesn't have the pressure on them that we have seen earlier in the year.
Kevin, what do you think the hesitation is from either media or Husker fans or whoever to label games as Nebraska should win this one? Is it just sort of that? I know a lot of people talk about waiting for the other shoe to drop with Nebraska basketball. Like, what is it? Because this is a pretty good team. They probably should beat Penn State. Like, what's the hesitation of just being able to say, yeah, they should win 3 or 4 of their last 5 games on the way out?
That's a great question, Ravi.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that it is this deep desire to make the NCAA tournament and a history of being so close but not being able to pull through late in the year. So you're scarred by the past but hopeful for what could be, and they don't always go side by side with each other. And I think that like Nebraska basketball fans are a very rare breed. In that they want so badly to be good, to contend for a conference title. They want so badly to go to the NCAA tournament. They want so badly to win in the NCAA tournament. However, the foundation in which they can place their hopes is a little bit shaky given the program's past. And there is a history of just being let down in big games. So I think that's really the diagnosis, in my opinion, for a game like Nebraska versus Penn State on February, whatever it is, that you're not so sure about it, despite the fact that Penn State's at the bottom of the league.
That's Kevin Sjuts, 10-11 News in Lincoln. Kevin, we appreciate it as always, and hope you don't have any reason to turn the game off early today.
I hope I can watch it start to finish, and it doesn't have to be at midnight.
And I hope nobody sends you any weird voice memos.
That's incredible.
And if they do, you guys are going to learn about it.
Oh, my man.
Kevin, we'll talk to you later. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Kev.
See you, boys.